Behind the cape. Let's start off with your Kathleen Kennedy information.
Fam, where's my phone? You have to see this madness.
Uh-oh.
So at the world premiere of Indiana Jones,
Oh.
she's got all these people up on the stage. George Lucas is there, and Kathleen Kennedy is there. Harrison Ford is there, and Steven Spielberg goes into this speech about all the people who were so integral to Indiana Jones. And he starts out with saying, obviously, you know, the creator of Indiana Jones. And, you know, big clap. Kathleen Kennedy claps. Then she says, second person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And, you know, obviously everybody claps, and she claps as well. And then she was like, there's been one person, or Steven Spielberg was like, there's also one person who's been with us every step of the way, who has always been the glue to what Indiana Jones is. Now, mind you, Kathleen Kennedy has been there since the beginning with Indiana Jones. She was producing on a lot of those early films.
Really?
Yes, she has been there from jump. She was George Lucas's handpicked person to take over Lucasfilm at Disney.
Uh-huh.
So,
don't tell me this is one of those sitcom moments where she walks up slowly and then he says a different name.
Well, you see, she's gearing up to like be like, oh, it's me. She kind of turns to her husband and gives him a look like, oh, he's talking about me.
Oh, no.
And he says, John Williams.
Yo.
And she doesn't clap for my man.
She doesn't clap?
She didn't clap
Oh,
for
that's
him.
petty.
And then
That's
she
petty.
turns away and her husband tries to like console her. Oh, man, it was
That
a fucking
is
terrible
nuts.
moment.
Okay, one last thing. There are three indispensable people without whom none of us would be here tonight, and that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas. The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And the person whose is the glue to all five of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
Wow. First of all, she definitely moved as if it was going to be her. Second of all, she really didn't clap.
Why are they doing her like
She
this?
be getting disrespected.
Just fire her. Jesus, Iger,
not mess
let
with
her
her.
go. I feel bad for her now.
That's disrespect.
This shit is getting disrespectful.
Yeah. Alright, I'm finna get disrespectful in this motherfucker.
First of all, they sent her to Connie and shut her hotel down, didn't even tell her. So she had to field questions about it to the press gaggle after her movie bombed.
So wait, you're telling me that the worst day for her got
Got
even worse.
Got even worse. She was so sure. You see it all over her face. She was positive. He was talking to her. Shout out to Echo Base Network. That's where I seen it first. Damn. Jesus.
That's nuts.
Everything about it. The beginning part of the description where she was so sure it was her. She looks at her husband. You know who that is. You know what I mean? To her clapping for Harrison Ford and John Lucas, so very enthusiastically.
Mm-hmm.
To her him saying John Williams and her face going stale as shit. To her husband trying to get her to fucking clap. Like, hey,
They
no, come
really
on,
put her in a sitcom.
honey,
moment.
come on, you gotta clap.
Like, man, fuck this.
It was
shit.
either that, it was like it's okay, pumpkin. We'll talk about it later. We'll have some
Talk about
Chardonnay
this on the ride home.
in our Calabasas mansion.
Oh God. Yeah, no, they really put her in a sitcom.
She has a nice
moment.
home to cry about it in. I'm sure.
That's factual.
Positive.
All right, moving on. I don't know if you saw this. Well, you saw this at this point because we literally talked about it during the pre-show. Disney Junior is coming out with an Ariel show.
Yeah.
And the Ariel is black. So they're at least continuing it for the time being.
Okay, so this is one of those things that we talk about a lot with the race swapping, right? Is that they will not repurpose it and market it this way. This is an example of it. I just don't believe that it's going to be here. They're going to have to prove it to me.
Yeah.
You know, I do think it's something that could be successful. I mean, it's a children's cartoon about a mermaid. I don't think the kids are worried about whether or not the mermaid is black or white. So it is something that has the potential to be popular for preschool age kids. Mm-hmm. It's just, are they going to continue to repurpose it? Because as I'm looking right now with Disney Channel or Disney Junior specifically, they do have a lot of black centered young cartoons. I'm hoping some of that trickles upward into the teen age, because that inevitably gets it to be perpetuated on screen, on the big screen. When the 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds start geeking out about something, that's where your money potential is, because people start thinking, all right, well, if I get in here now at 12, I can have them for the next decade, and then, you know, we'll be able to refresh it, and I'll be able to repurpose it for their adult age. That was the whole idea behind the MCU before they fucked it.
Yeah.
Before they completely screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
Right? Is we have this ever-flowing product that will mature with the viewer, except that stopped becoming the thing at a certain point, and everything else became more important. That's what I'm kind of hoping will happen in general, because there's quite a few things out there. My son loves Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. They have the Jedi story with the little black Jedi boy. The little black Jedi boy sounds crazy. I don't know their names. I don't watch all of them specifically. Doc McStuffins, you know.
Yeah.
So they have it. It's there. And it's popular to a certain degree. Some of it is. It has potential to age up. What I am weary about, though, is that it never moves out of the preschool age realm. And we end up still getting the same type of stuff beyond that age group that we've come accustomed to seeing. And even furthermore, that eventually that show will be canceled, because now they do have so many other black female-led cartoons for that. It's one of many right now, currently. So like, it makes it more likely that if they need to cut something for cost or just because they feel like they're too redundant in their programming, that's something that's going to be up immediately. You know what I mean? So the potential of it being there 5 years from now, even a year from now, you know, it depends on a lot. It depends on a lot going well for it. Here's where I kind of get turned off. Is that in looking to gain representation or looking to get better quality content for black people, you start shitting on everything that is made for black people or made by black people.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. Like, first of all, I'm black. So I've actually had to live this experience. I've had to go through it and deal with whatever I had. Like I don't want to get to the point of offense, you know? And I feel like you can do that if you start leaving the context out of some of these conversations. Like,
oh, for sure.
Once again, I will restate it for the 1,000th time. I do not care for race swap characters. But that is me, a 30-year-old man with 30 years worth of media and film content in my brain, right? To parse through and understand the nuances between everything that I've seen. I can't expect a child of 5 to 10 to understand that or to get it. I can't even halfway expect a 15-year-old to completely get it, right? Until you start seeing the absence of yourself somewhere in these spaces, until you begin to see the how your culture is really segmented to you and your people and is only commodified by everybody else, you won't seek to see that better representation. But most of the age groups that we're talking about will not even understand what the hell it is I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So now, am I going to shit on the little boy who loves Miles Morales Spider-Man because, well, Miles doesn't need to be Spider-Man. He needs to have his own name. So to hell out of there with that temporary representation. Like, okay, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you have to start somewhere. They have to have something. Mm-hmm. And if I'm killing the little things that they do have now, they'll never last to like the better stuff that they may have down the road. If I hated Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, growing up, and I dismissed him as an ancillary character that was only meant to prop up Hal Jordan, if I had treated him like that at the time that he was on Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, I would have never lasted in this genre to see Black Panther. It wouldn't have mattered to me by that time.
Or because of the popularity that Jon Stewart wouldn't have had, there's no sure thing that other black superheroes would then.
I can see the problematic traits in some of these characters and digest it differently as an adult. We can't expect the children that are watching it to digest it the same way. And even to a certain degree, if you just like it for the sake of liking it, even as an adult, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is, because that is literally what changes the trajectory of those characters. Miles was meant to be one thing, and people genuinely liking Miles set him on a course to be something different. Will he be that? It's remain to be seen. But he only has the potential or the conversation around him doing it because people just simply like the character for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of all of the problematic mess around his story and who he was built under and who he was meant to prop up, people liked him. Same thing with Jon Stewart. People like him. You don't throw away money. You don't throw away popularity because it wasn't birthed the way that you want it. And I feel like that's kind of I don't know, man. It's one of those things where, like, if you've had to live through it, you would digest it differently. I feel like since I've had to accept some of those characters, and that's the only reason why I'm still interested in seeing black characters progress beyond what they were when I was a kid now, is because I found a love for those characters through whatever was wrong with them in the first place.
Yeah.
And we have to allow people to do that to even understand what it is we're trying to get across to them by telling them that those characters need to be more.
Mm-hmm.
They're never going to get a chance to get there if we're trying to stamp out their fire at the start.
It'll be interesting to me to see when these characters like Miles and Black Ariel become culturally significant, and specifically even in our culture, like black culture. And I think I'll know that when I see parents dress up in Black Ariel costumes getting sturdy at birthday parties for their kids.
Like, I mean, that you can say that shit doesn't matter and it's temporary and maybe they won't be dressed up as Ariel 5 years from now. Do you think the kids that enjoyed that party give a shit about any of that? Do you think they care? Like, do you think that the real life lived experience that they will now remember forever at the behest of that black character, do you think that they give a damn that potentially 10 years from now that character will be white again? We care because we understand what kind of impact it is, and we're operating at a different level of thought here. But if you sit up there and you make that person who doesn't accept it that way try to be like, no, I fucking hate Ariel now. Okay, well, I don't know if you're ever going to be able to get him back on to be geeked out that way about a character.
Yeah.
Pessimism is a very fickle thing. You got to take it in doses, and it's not a very good thing for young people. You can create a very jaded individual if that's what you're preaching, if that's your doctrine. And then now you don't really have comic book fans, you know? That's not what comic books are about. Or at least that's not what they were supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd just rather see Black Ariel over...
Or these characters. I guess I shouldn't specifically put it on comic books, but characters.
I'd rather see Black Ariel and Miles than Woody from Toy Story and Elsa getting sturdy at the function. Just saying, just throwing that out there.
Woody getting sturdy at the function is nuts.
I've seen it.
I've seen it, though. Yeah, that's it.
Tena Huerta.
Yeah, he kind of had a weird-ish response to the allegations.
Yeah.
He did claim to have a relationship with the woman, but says that it never became like that, like as she described it, the assault. Or lack of description, actually, because she never actually described the assault.
She just called him
an abuser.
Yeah.
But he did say that she has been kind of floating this story, floating her story about the events that transpired while they were together for a while, and that he had to retain legal counsel around it. Some people thought that part was strange. I didn't. If you broke up with somebody and you have somewhat of a reputation and you're a public figure and they're telling people that nonsense, like openly, publicly, yeah, you better get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Let's take track of all of this. Let's take track of who she told, exactly what she said, right? What was it said in out in the open? Was it said on a public forum? Right? Like, yeah, no, let's get track of this, because that sounds like a defamation lawsuit.
Yeah.
If I'm innocent, if I didn't do it.
And then if not, then you would have legal counsel.
Right, and then if you did do it, you would get legal counsel to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because she's talking about it now.
Yep. No,
so either way, I feel like it makes sense for him to get a lawyer. If somebody's running around saying that you raped her, okay, well, yeah, you should probably lawyer up. That would be a good thing to do.
At the
now,
very
I don't
least, to avoid saying something that may incriminate you, even if you didn't do it.
Now, I don't think that says anything about his innocence or his guilt. Getting a lawyer, I mean, if that this has some serious legal implications. So true or false, you would want to be protected in that way. The thing that's off to me is that neither one of them are actually talking about what happened, which is a red flag to me, that both of them feel like they may be at fault for something, that they may not look as good as they want to look in the public eye, which just makes me think, if that's the case, why the fuck are we talking about this at all? Like, if there's something about this story from her perspective that maybe doesn't paint her in the best light, that maybe she doesn't want to necessarily have dragged through the media or whatever, but she just couldn't help herself from saying something about Tanakh Welter. Well, maybe you should have. Like, if it's something that you don't want publicly known, that maybe doesn't make you look, and then I'm gonna do the same thing for Tanakh. If you're covering something up, if you are protecting yourself in some sort of way by getting a lawyer from something that you did wrong, maybe you shouldn't be speaking at all. Maybe you shouldn't be giving a statement at all about anything. Yeah. Maybe you should let the people that you hired speak for you. So to me, it sounds like both of them are trying to set this situation up to favor them in the public eye, which I can't make parses of that. Nothing has actually been accused yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what she said he did yet. And he's trying to explain it away before she's ever really actually accused anything. So I am so topsy-turvy with this whole situation, once again, because we're getting half bits of information from both sides. So that's where we're at with that. But nobody's been fired. Management team hasn't dropped them. You know.
Hasn't lost any roles.
He's not going to court. Look at there.
Yikes. Writer's strike has taken way more casualties, being that there are many more delays.
Everything in Disney.
Yeah.
But Disney's not the only company, but
Marvel,
Disney's
Star Wars.
entire slate. Everything is delayed. They got Avatar, cuz. Which
Avatar is crazy.
Can I say something about James Cameron and Avatar in the BDE? Because boy, you on HBO and you on Disney Plus. Your movie that was made under Fox Studios, purchased by Disney, is not only on Disney's exclusive streaming service, but it's showing on HBO too. Now, when you talk about licensing and how much somebody would pay for a property, they would easily pay $100 million for the rights to buy Avatar: Way of Water.
Yeah.
So does that kind of put it in perspective why Disney paying themselves $70 million for Wakanda Forever makes no fucking sense? Do y'all start to get the math now? Is it starting to come into line? Maybe, probably still not now. But anyways, But we were talking about the delays. Go ahead.
The worst one to me is Blade. It's getting delayed again. It won't come out until February 2025.
If I was Mahershala Ali, I would leave. I would strap Disney with the embarrassment of this project failing, and I would leave. Because as evident as early returns from The Flash are showing us this weekend, the longer these type of films take to get made, the less relevant they become, and therefore hurts the overall quality of the movie.
Yeah.
And I would hate to see that happen to Mahershala Ali and Blade, man.
I agree.
This movie got announced at Comic-Con in 2019. It's not going to come out until 6 years later. Right now.
Yeah.
They haven't shot a single
delay.
scene yet. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I feel really bad for Mahershala.
I agree.
That is terrible. So he's 50 now, right? He's going to be 52 years old when the first Blade film hits.
Mm.
I
Yeah, it might need it. We might need a recast.
how many appearances as Red Hawk do you think Harrison Ford is going to have? How many times y'all think y'all going to get out of him? Thank God that movie was already shooting before the writer's strike.
Yeah.
But how many more do you think you're going to get?
One more if you're lucky.
Unless you're just going to like deep fake his face onto a CGI body, which most likely will be that has to be it.
Yeah.
But even still at that's just like, it's getting more and more creepy because I know he's not actually moving. He's like 80 plus. So it's more like you just like lifting his face and putting it on a robot. And it's getting a little weird. But yeah, no, everything. So all the Disney Plus shows, Star Wars, obviously, what was actually coming out of Star Wars besides the Filoni movie and the Rey movie, maybe?
Secret Wars isn't coming out till 27.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the interesting thing in the midst of all of the delays. You want to hear a weird rumor that I heard while I was watching late night YouTube in the 10 minutes that I had internet while we were camping this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So this is courtesy of Doomcock, the eventual overlord of the earth is what he calls himself, in his Hollywood Spies. So, Endgame, right? There were 2 snaps in Endgame. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The Hulk snap brings everybody back to life.
Yeah.
Tony Stark snap wipes out Thanos' army, right? Gone. The theory is that they're going to try and do some retconning here, but say that both snaps created their own branch off timelines. And that the Hawk's timeline, his first snap, his initial snap, which brought everybody back, that branch off timeline led to Phase 4 and Phase 5. And that Tony Stark's snap branch off timeline would be a different way, a way of kind of retconning the bullshit that they just gave us out of existence and starting over from Endgame. Back at where we started with the original crew.
So how does...
They're basically going to say, well, okay, again, take this with not a bit of salt. I'm going to give you the whole iodized and you can just take it. But I found it interesting because they could if they were bold enough, it would take some balls to do, but honestly, even the greatest thing they've ever done in Endgame had plot holes, so what's a few more to fix things, right? So effectively allowing them to wash the entire 2 phases of Marvel films out of our brain and say, nope, we're going to start off back here and then try again. And it is an option that's being mulled over. Like it's kind of like one of those contingencies that they had to do a reset if they absolutely needed it. Oh, by the way, they absolutely need it. Like, this rumor may be ridiculous, but don't think they don't need something like this. Like, the Marvels in July or November. When is it? I keep saying July. I think it's coming out in November now.
November.
The Marvels in November is teasing something of like this with an incursion. Or at least that's what the early plot leaks were saying. So, you know what I mean? It ain't like they don't need it. And this is just one potential way that they're mulling over.
So cheap, though.
It's like, very cheap. But it's the most effective, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we've seen things in Phase 4 and Phase 5 that acknowledge the snap and they acknowledge Tony Stark's death. But, I mean, I guess the using of the gauntlet in itself could create another timeline, even though that timeline could run congruently with the one that's still existing. So, like, I would know if I'm still in Hulk's timeline, congruently, there's another timeline branching off from Tony Stark's snap and his death. But if I'm still in the Hulk's timeline, I know about Tony Stark's death. I'm just branching off a different way. Like, it's very convoluted. It's very convoluted. And I don't think they'll actually do no shit like that. But, I mean, do they not need something like that, though?
Well, the other thing is that if they did that, they would, from then on, have to make good Marvel movies again. And do you trust them with doing that?
That would be nuts to go all the way back to Endgame and reset your universe, then start making the same fucking shit.
Like, it's the same people still making the movies, so, like, do you have the trust in them to?
So, I mean, if they were to do something that drastic, it would signal to me that they had a plan to go in a completely different direction. It's the only way it makes sense for you to do something that big, is if you were going to change the overall tone of what your universe is right now.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying that's a completely different future over there, then the world should be completely different in the new lineup that you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we should see new faces. There should be new problems. Things should be inherently different than what they were. So
that's nuts.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Crazy things. See. Crazy times.
Letitia Wright.
Ooh, yeah.
Fun stuff always with her.
Princess Shuri
says that there's currently no movement on Black Panther 3, but she's excited about her MCU future.
Darn, you don't say. But she's excited about her MCU future. I don't know to take that as her, like, yeah, I guess I'll pick up the phone when they call me. Or if that's saying, like, well, I mean, shit, at least I'm going to get paid at Secret Wars.
Yeah, like, she's got something going on and something that's obviously not Black Panther 3 related. Yeah. They're dragging their feet on making another one.
I could see either Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars as a return for Princess Shuri. Yeah. Are you telling me we're not going to see Wakanda for 5-6 years and then she's just going to pop up in Secret Wars? What?
A little crazy.
Excuse me? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from that. The only reason why I want to see her in Secret Wars is because y'all know who I want to return. And at this point, she's the only person left to receive him. I think at this point we can probably safely assume that Nakia has moved on and has found other tutelage for young Toussaint. Mm-hmm. Young Toussaint barely knows his father, you know, so I don't think that would be it will be an adequate reunion. It's definitely something I want to see happen. But the first person he should see is Princess Shuri. So if that's going to happen in Secret Wars, then she has to be in it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, because the whole family going now, so they're not going to make it M'Baku.
My king! You have returned!
Yikes. Last thing we got is Sam Jackson.
The Black Panther lives! I couldn't get out without doing that.
I was going to say, that has nothing to do with Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson. Oh, yeah, no, yeah. I was arguing with y'all on Twitter about this one. It was on CBR. It was like, I don't know why I've never gotten a ticket to Wakanda.
Oh, he said that. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I thought somebody had. asked him, and then he was like,
I mean, probably. He was probably talking Marvel stuff, and where do you want to do next? He was like, I don't know. I want to get a ticket to Wakanda.
I can see why he would want to.
Okay. So, my thinking, right? Nick Fury is an agent, secret agent. He is a government operative. Nick Fury infiltrates governments as his 9 to 5. He's been toppling governments since before he was, the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's why he worked his way up. Right? He is akin to Black Widow. He was Black Widow's handler. Okay? Okay. So given that set of parameters, he's attracted to power. He's attracted to impropriety around power. He's attracted to power that needs to be reined in, or have a contingency for reining in said power if it ever turns bad. Mm-hmm. So tell me why that person wouldn't try ever to infiltrate the most technologically advanced country on the planet. Let's run through a list of powerful nations, and you tell me whether or not Nick Fury most likely has ever touched soil on or set up some sort of safe house, has some sort of operation there at some point in his career. Mm-hmm. America.
Yes.
UK.
Yes.
Japan.
Sure.
China. Mm-hmm. So basically, Nick Fury can go everywhere on this planet as a secret agent except for Wakanda. And the rationale behind it is, everybody black gonna need to go Wakanda. You don't gotta go Wakanda just because you black. They're not qualified for Wakanda. You don't gotta be black to go Wakanda. Like, people tell on themselves every damn day.
Yeah.
Just because you attributed Sam Jackson being black to the reason why he had to be in Wakanda is not what I was asserting, or not even what he was asserting. Mm-hmm. I'm a secret agent who learns how to rein in powerful governments or powerful beings. Mm-hmm. He had a whole book on the Avengers before the team was even put together. He knew about T'Challa and Namor before the MCU viewers knew. Why? Matter of fact, that blows this whole fucking argument out of the water. He literally knew about Wakanda and Namor before any of us as MCU viewers did. Iron Man 2? Or was that 3? Iron Man 3. Where he tracks down Tony Stark. He gives him a cure for the Nihilist virus. He's got his safe house. He's got this big monitor behind him, a world map. He's got these blips up all over the world of shit he's been investigating. Tremors in the Atlantic. We've got something in the heart of Africa going on over there. He knew about Wakanda. Ben knew about Wakanda. For all I know, that's probably what he was referencing. Like, damn, I was investigating Wakanda a minute ago, back in Iron Man 3, way back in Phase 2. Why ain't I been there yet? Yeah. But no, every black character don't need to go Wakanda, bro. Every black character don't need to go Wakanda. That's a self-report. Because that's not where I was going with it. But to that end, if we want to talk about it, there are some black characters that probably should have been to Wakanda. Riddle me this. If I'm Sam or I'm Rhodey, and I risked my life on Wakandan soil to try to save the world, don't you think that I can get an invite to the funeral? Maybe a day pass for me and my family to come eat at the palace or some shit, you know what I'm saying? Get a tour. You mean I could have died here? You mean one of us actually did die here in Sam? I died here in Wakanda? I can't never come back? You ain't gotta go Wakanda because you're black, bro. As if no other context around the characters matters or exists. Well, Sam died there fighting with T'Challa. Miss me with that. Oh, he was barely an Avenger. They died there. Some of them died with T'Challa on Wakanda soil fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
To save the world.
But you know why Sam and Rhodey can't go? It's because Africans and black people don't like each other.
Okay, well, anyways. Get that man, book that man. You telling me this man ended up in space before he ended up in Wakanda? That makes sense to everybody? That this man created a spaceship before he went to the most technologically advanced country on his own planet?
Seems legit.
It makes sense for him not to be there, but to be in space. Boy, y'all kill me. Y'all kill me.
Yeah.
Y'all kill me. Give us your thoughts on everything discussed here. Kathleen Kennedy's ultimate embarrassment. Marvel reset theories. Letitia Wright's MCU future. And or Samuel L. Jackson ending up in Wakanda. Give us your thoughts on any of it. Put it in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week for another Behind the Cape.
Absolutely. And make sure you check out our previous video where we discussed Tana Huerta's
that too.
allegation a little bit more in detail. And also, make sure you subscribe. Like you said, we like to do this every week.